Hey guys, Eric and Roth here to talk about the final episode of Breaking Bad, Felina.
Are you heartbroken?
It's all over. I'm sad that it's over. I'm glad that it ended when it ended as far as like on, going strong. I'm so glad it didn't go too long and that it wasn't 2 years from now and we're saying it should have ended a couple years ago. But yeah, I'm sad to say goodbye to it because it's been such a great show. Let's talk about the finale. Obviously, this was, I think, the episode of television this year, certainly, that everyone was most excited about. There was a lot of expectations. What do you think? Did it deliver?
I do. It's funny because we had the benefit of sort of sleeping on it. I don't think it is the best episode of Breaking Bad ever, which would be hard to do.
Right.
But I do think it was a strong finale. I mean, my one sort of caveat to that is it got wrapped up very neatly.
Yeah.
And you do have to sort of suspend your disbelief quite a little bit in terms of, I even am like, how did he get the resin in that stevia packet? Like, did he inject it in? I spent a lot of time thinking about how that was possible. Did a few mental gymnastics, and then I worked it out. But I feel that they ultimately made the decision to, as they have, especially for the last couple of seasons, elect poetry over a sense of sort of gritty realism, and I appreciated that. The question to me is, should Walt have been punished more? Should he have lost everything? Meaning, should his family have paid the ultimate price? He did sort of win in the end.
Yeah.
Didn't he? But at the same time, I think the big question that we're left with as he caresses, as Vince Gilligan called it, his precious. I'm just going to pet him now for the whole rest of the video.
Because I'm messed.
To make him uncomfortable. But the question is was that one moment, that moment of truth that he had, I did it for me, I liked it, that one moment where he got to feel briefly like a man, like he was self-actualized, like he was useful in the world, even though it was for meth, was that worth it? And I feel like for Walt, his answer is yes, it was. Right.
It was an interesting finale in that, things worked out more than I expected, certainly. It really was, sort of Heisenberg's last stand, and it was a successful one at that. I think this episode, I don't think it was one of the best episodes of Breaking Bad. I think it was a good, solid finale that, gave closure, but I don't think it was among their best episodes, but I think it probably worked the best for people who wanted to see Heisenberg pull off one last great Heisenberg plan. It surprised me that it went off without a hitch. Really, when he can't get to that keychain is the only moment of something going wrong.
Yeah.
Like everything else, and then it's brief, everything else really falls into place. And I was surprised by that choice. I kind of kept expecting something to go wrong, that, when he's positioning his car, that won't work, that, something will happen. And it really did kind of all work for him. I don't know if I loved that because I'm not one of those people who was like, Heisenberg kicks ass, Like I was a little more like, I kind of liked when they had, I think Badger and Skinny Pete kind of do a little meta moment where they're talking about, I don't know about the morality of all this.
It all seems kind of shady.
Right.
Morality-wise.
And so since I was more one of those people, like I think maybe I would have liked something to have screwed up at the end for him. But at the same time, I kind of understood why it's going to work great for a lot of people, as far as this is his final plan.
I have two questions actually for you. One is, and let me say what I think about that first, is that what was interesting to me about that end is that that's not the way it's gone for Walt, really. I mean, typically he makes a plan, but then he has to improvise, things go wrong, 3 other things fall apart as one thing works out. So this was very unusual to just have it be methodically, yes, work.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't want stevia that day. By the way, you disgusting beast. Chamomile, stevia, and soy milk? Ick! May that kill you. That's disgusting.
Right.
Second of all, but this is what I thought was interesting about that, was that he prayed, right? Like in the car, just get me there and I'll do the rest. And the moment that the key fell down to him, it felt like, I don't know if if Vince Gilligan was trying to make this some kind of divine intervention whereby some spiritual force wanted him to right the ship before he goes out.
Right.
I'm not sure. It felt a little like that.
The key, him finding the key at the top of the episode was actually kind of signaling to you that this is how things are going to go for Walt this episode. It's all going to kind of work out for him.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of surprised me given how dark the show had been going and as far as like, how sort of just, very vicious things had been, but here at the end, it was him really like closing up all the loose ends. I was actually even surprised at the end that, because he got everyone. I thought if you'd asked me a couple weeks ago that Todd, Lydia, someone would survive to sort of be the corrupt, thing left over from Walter White's, rampage.
But it was
instead,
a clean slate.
He got rid of all of it.
Yeah.
And that I was a little surprised that they would do that at the end of the show. But again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We talked about when Ozymandias, am I pronouncing that even remotely right? I don't know. When that episode aired, how we felt like that was the finale of the show in a lot of ways, and that anything following was the epilogue. The actual finale even reinforced that for me. It felt like we got the finale a couple weeks ago. This was the end result of what he'd done and the horrible things that happened. But this was a epilogue that gave you a little more of a happy ending if you want that too, of like tying up things. I don't know, for me personally, I think a little more chaos and ambiguity maybe. So it wasn't perfect for me, but I do understand for a lot of people watching Breaking Bad that what we got last night is what they wanted at the end.
And this is the other thing that was interesting, and people have said, was that Heisenberg? I'm wearing my Heisenberg blue, but was that Heisenberg at the last moment, or actually was it just the final? This is what it was to me. That was the real Walt. That was the first time we've ever seen the real Walt, because that's the first time Walt's allowed himself to be his real self. He was egomaniacal to a degree, but he actually spoke the truth. In that one moment with Skylar, he finally confessed, look, I like this. I'm good at this. I haven't been good at anything. I'm not saying he wasn't a good chemistry teacher,
right.
but he didn't feel that he had actualized in his own life. And I felt like, to me, this is the combination of those two entities. He basically died saving Jesse. And to me, that final caress said, this was worth it to me.
Right.
Just to have that one moment where I felt like a man again. This was all worth it to me, no matter how many people got hurt. So that's like the dark Walter, not so much Heisenberg.
Right. I agree. It was, because, although that's, I guess, where it's kind of strange, because it gave him a happier ending than you'd expect for that reason, because he was and it all worked out. My dark empire, came to an end, but I got to do so many great things along the way. But, I guess some people will see that as a, hey, cool, Heisenberg kicked ass one last time and went out like a man ending, and some people will see, like, isn't this sad? Because I will say, it's like you really analyze what happened, and of course he destroyed his family. He can only watch his son from afar. He can never fix things with Walt Jr., who will believe the rest of his life, rightfully so, that his father was a monster. I do think the scene with Skylar was the best scene in the finale. It was a great scene. It was, great to have them have that conversation.
And so well played.
So well played by both actors. And I do think, him saying, I did it for me, was obviously what the entire series had been leading towards, because he kept lying about it, kept becoming so power mad, but saying, it's my family. And I love that he finally, I think when you were talking about was it Heisenberg or Walt at the end was him kind of getting rid of that divide.
Yeah, that's what I think
he's
too.
He found balance, because this is who he is both those people together.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I felt like it was almost like the truth will set you free moment, no matter how ugly the truth really is, and it's very ugly. His truth is really, it's as ugly as you can get, but it's true. And I think that fundamentally, look, everything he did was wrong, but I'm talking about on a metaphorical level, it's incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
To reach a certain point in your life, feel like you haven't done what you thought you were going to do, and want to recoup, want to recover, want to somehow manage to make your mark on the world, even if it's just in that grotesque, horrible way.
Right. And he certainly made a mark. I will say, I wish we got more Jesse in the finale. It's like, I'm so happy. We talked a lot about how we wanted him to get out of this alive. I thought he would. I hoped he would. He did. He did get his great Princess Leia killing Jabba moment by killing Todd with the chain that enslaved him.
So awesome.
That was awesome.
See Todd guy.
Yeah, that's something we did want, and I think we kind of had to get. So I was really happy about that. But I just wish, because he was such an important character, he got a little more to do at the end here, since we really barely saw him. It was so focused on Walt that it was really, this is Walt's journey, his final journey at the end. But again, I'm happy that Jesse has a road ahead of him.
Literally speaking, yeah. I mean, I think that what worked for me about that is that the story initially was meant to be Walt's story, and it needed to be Walt-centric, I think, at the end. But Jesse also sort of had that beautiful moment in the beginning with the box, sort of the idea that
great
there's
callback
hope,
there.
Great callback to the idea that he had built this box, and that was the path that he may have taken. And the idea is that I think that Walt, by wiping the slate clean, though he will be on the run for the rest of his life to some degree, probably, unless he makes a deal. Well, what's to make a deal left?
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is that there is some kind of hope left for Jesse, but it's not undamaged. He has the physical scars, he has the emotional scars. He's going to carry that with him forever.
Yeah.
He will not be left undamaged, but he will possibly be given another path.
Yeah, so even if Walt did end things with a smile on his face, which surprised me, but yeah, if you really look at what happened, he's not leaving a smile on the face of everyone in his life, that's for sure.
This is the chance to make it right. Did you think that, I love that moment, just really, really quickly, I love that moment at the end where you saw the fire go up before Gretchen.
Yeah.
And the idea that, do you think they had done him wrong?
We'll never know, and I like that
know.
that's ambiguous. I don't think so. I think that the Walter White hubris, that was probably the first time it struck, is however things happened with that gray matter, it was probably his doing initially. That's just my guess, though. That's the biggest ambiguity, I think, of the entire series, is not knowing the exact specifics of that backstory. But
I say that's where it started too.
yeah, so let us know what you thought. What did you think about the Gray Matter backstory? What did you think of the finale in general? Did it completely deliver to you? How much do you hate us if you did think it completely delivered and we have some little issues with it? All in all, though, I think...
Don't tell us you hate us. That's really mean.
Some people will. Obviously, though, this was an amazing series. Let us know what you think of the legacy of Breaking Bad in the comments, and I would say we'd be back next week, but we won't because this was the end of Breaking Bad. But we'll talk about other things.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.